Hey, what's up, Stringlings? We are back, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Xvive U2 wireless guitar system. Let's check it out. It's actually taken me a little while to get to this particular review because I wanted to really put these things through their paces. There are a lot of wireless units out there right now, particularly coming in from the Chinese market. We've seen them from Joyo. I'm sure Donner's probably got some. There are just a ton of them out there, and they're all pretty good. They're all pretty okay. These ones come in at sort of the high end of the price range. I think these are somewhere in the $200 range, if I'm not mistaken. So they're a bit on the high end in terms of this type of gear, but there's good reason for that, and we're going to go over some of the features. It's going to be a little bit hard to demo because how can you tell what a wireless system sounds like? So first of all, I have to answer the basic question: why do you need something like this if you're not covering a lot of stage? And the typical argument comes down to, if you're not being, if you're on a small stage, you're not going far away from your board or your amp, do you really need a wireless to cover all of that territory? And that sort of used to be true in the days of big stadium gigs and things like that, where you might take a long cable, right? And then you've got to have these big cable runs all over the place. And so the rationale is, if you're close to your amp or close to your board, you don't need a long cable. You can get away with a 10-foot cable, sometimes even a 6-foot cable in a small space. Like there's maybe 2 feet between myself and the interface on my desk. But realistically, when you flip the script a little bit and you look at it and you say, I've actually got cables everywhere, and I'm getting tangled up. For example, right now where I'm sitting, there's a cable on this mic. My headphones are over there. There's a cable on those. There's a cable on the mic that I'm testing out here on my lapel. So with all of that going on, is it better maybe to have a little bit more flexibility in space by having a wireless unit? And my experience has been, yes, it is better to do it that way. And so you will have heard these ones on the EGLP demo that I just put up. That was actually using these as well, and I'm going to include a clip of that here, as well as a clip of something that's mic'd up. So yeah, the answer to the question is, do you need them in smaller spaces? I actually think they're more practical in smaller spaces than they get credit for. Very, very worth having a set of these guys in your case for gigs. Also very helpful on anywhere on stage or in the studio. I like them in the studio. If you want a really pure signal, of course, go with a cable. But I haven't noticed a significant drop since using these. So just to quickly go over this, this again is the Xvive U2 guitar system. It's a wireless system. Okay, it comes with 2 units inside, which I'll show you in a second. But this is how it's packed. So it comes in a sleeve, and then it comes in a box. I actually really like this box. Inside there is the usual bout of literature. There's their kind of product catalog, little warranty card, and the instructions. Now, why do you need instructions? Because it's a 4-channel system, right? So I'll get into that in a little bit, but basically it helps you set things up so that it works properly. Excuse me. Out of the box, I've actually taken the cable out because I was charging them earlier, but the cable is a USB cable with 2 ends, so it's a Y-shaped USB cable, and it's I think a USB-A, maybe USB-B. I'm not sure what the USBs are, but it's not the most recent USB format. But most of these wireless units have this same format of USB. I'm just going to double check here on my notes and see if it says anything. No, it doesn't on here. I'll double check, make sure I'm still recording. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay, anyway, it doesn't say anything on here about what type of USB it is, but it doesn't matter. It comes in the box, and you can use it interchangeably with other wireless units. There are 2 of them. One is the transmitter, one is the receiver. This one happens to be the receiver, and you can tell it's on because it's got a light, right? The lights here will indicate first of all, that it's on, and second of all, that it's looking for or has found the other unit in the set. I'm going to grab this one. Okay. And they're talking to each other. Okay, they happen to be on the same channel. Now, this set I particularly like because, first of all, the color is great. I have them in red. The color is great, but the plug itself has well over, I mean, I don't know my angles that well, but it's got a lot of play. So I've used this in Strats. I've used this in Les Pauls. Pretty well every guitar that you see behind me here. So there's virtually no angle that this doesn't make sense in. It works great going in straight. So it sits nicely in a Strat type jack. Super easy to use, but they're nice and secure. They don't flop. Right, the joint on here is really tight, which I really like. Some of them are not so snug, and that obviously can cause problems. Flopping around, making noise on your guitar and that kind of thing. So structurally, very sound, and they don't feel cheap. These ones are actually heavier than some of my other ones too, so they've got a little bit of weight to them. I think that you are justified in the $200 price point. Now, having said that, how do they work? They work quite well. You've heard them on the demos. I'm going to play another clip that's just me recording at a distance of about 15 feet from my Bandit 65 using these, and that's pretty much it, just using these and recording through a Behringer B906 microphone directly into Reaper. So let's check that out. This is just going to be audio, but you can hear the sound. So that gives you an idea of what it sounds like going into an amp. And of course, as I said, I used it on the ERT demo that went up the other day. So let's check that one out, and you'll hear what it's like going into a plugin being plugged directly into the interface and into the DAW. So there you go. As you can tell, pretty great sound, pretty clear sound, and overall, I'm really happy with them. In fact, I'm so happy with them. In my band, I discovered that the other guitar player had a set, and he uses them in rehearsal as well. So we can walk around and we can check the front end sound, make sure our mix is okay. But I saw another pair that came up for sale on Facebook Marketplace for $100. And so the band bought them for the bass player because it just made sense to have another set. And we've got a backup set on stage. Now, my advice is always have cables handy. Like, don't go on stage. It doesn't matter with these ones or a $2,000 Samson rig or like a $50 budget brand. I'm not even going to name any brands at that level, but it doesn't matter. Always have backup cables handy on stage if you're going to a gig. Any point of failure, any point of technology that you can have a backup system for, make sure you've got a backup system. And I'll tell you why, actually. This is an interesting thing. So one of the reasons this video has taken so long to come out is because I've been putting these things through their paces in the studio and in rehearsal. And some of our rehearsals run to about 2.5, 3, sometimes 5 hours, just because of the way our schedules work out. And the literature for this says that it's got a 5-hour performance time on the battery. Now, if the battery may last for 5 hours if you leave them on, I don't know if maybe the battery gets used more when you're playing through them, because after about 2.5 to 3 hours of steady playing, fairly steady, obviously breaking between songs, but after about that length of time, I've noticed these start to break up. It isn't just these, it's all of my wireless units do the same thing. So take that with a grain of salt. When it says a 5-hour charge, it's not necessarily 5 hours of full-on playing. Okay, it may just be 5 hours of life. So we have noticed, and not just these units, but the other two that are in the band, they start to break up after maybe 2.5, 3 hours. So be aware and have a backup, right? I've always got a backup pair of these, as well as a backup set of cables ready to go if something goes wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing is the distance. Now, I've seen some, you'll see some listings on Amazon that will say this will go to 100 feet. I don't know where you're ever going to be 100 feet away from your rig, unless you're taking this and you're putting it out in the soundboard, you know, on the other side of the venue, which I would not recommend you do. But realistically, the official literature on the Xvive website says 70 feet, approximately 70 feet, 30 meters, I think, something like that. So make sure that you're not stretching that too far. You'll hear them start to break up. As a matter of fact, I've heard these start to break up in as little as about 30 feet by playing in another room. So that on this one listing on Amazon I'm looking at, it says 100 feet. The 70-foot range is also, it's pretty good. It's pretty close if you're in a clear line of sight. But if you're in a building, like I'm here in the studio, I can't play this in my kitchen on the second floor and expect that it's, even though I'm technically only 12 feet away vertically, it's got to go through the ceiling and the soundproofing and everything else, and all the wires and pipes and everything in between. So don't take that super literally and be like, yeah, I'm going to put my amp in the front dining room and I'm going to go play on the deck in the backyard, because it has to get through all of those walls. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that I have noticed, if you're playing on anything with Bluetooth, I have a Moore SD30i Bluetooth amp that I play through sometimes, and I like using my wireless units because I can sit on the couch and have that thing play on the other side of the room, and that's kind of cool. But Bluetooth will interfere with the signal on these guys. So this is a 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz frequency range on 4 channels. If you hear it when you're plugged in, you might have a cell phone nearby. It might be Bluetooth on your amp. It might be the Bluetooth on your cell phone itself. It starts to break up. It starts to sound a little bit burbly. Change the channels on the wireless units and find one that isn't being interfered with by your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth, and you should be good to go. So those are really the only kind of issues. I mean, if you can call them issues, right? It's that, you don't get the full range going through a wall. Why are you playing through a wall anyway? I don't know. The battery life will not last, the full 5 hours that it's supposed to last if you're playing constantly. So make sure you have a backup for that, and pay attention when you set up. You might need to change the channels on them at some point if there's a lot of Bluetooth or a lot of Wi-Fi activity going on around it. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Other than that, these are really high quality units. They are rock solid. I've dropped these a couple of times. Don't tell my team, but I've dropped them a couple of times. No issues at all. Even plugged in, the joint is nice and stiff. The sound is nice and pristine and clear. And honestly, the price is still really pretty affordable for something of this quality. I mean, at about $200 Canadian, you're still in the ballpark of some pretty affordable gear and really essential gear, whether you're on stage or in the studio. So give these some consideration. The links are down below in the description. And that's all I have today on these. This is the Xvive U2 wireless guitar system, or bass system if you want. Also pedalboard system. I have run this from the output on my pedalboard to an amp so I can get more distance from the amp. Also works in that context as well. So definitely worth checking out. And hey, listen, if you like this kind of content, please consider becoming a member of the channel. We can get some more of this stuff going out. This one happened to be sponsored by Xvive, so they did send me the product. But in addition to that, the memberships also help me to promote the videos so that we get more traffic and a little bit more action in terms of engagement, which is, you know, always necessary when we're trying to work around algorithms. As well as, you know, just simply liking the video and subscribing. I noticed that most of the people who view my videos on the average about 80% are not subscribers to the channel. So it will really help me out if you subscribe to this video. That will help generate, again, a little bit more interest in the content, a little bit more interest in this kind of budget year, and just kind of, you know, bring everybody together in this kind of pursuit of you know, quality instruments for reasonable prices, which is a big thing, as well as giving us some coverage for independent music artists, which we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the coming months on the channel as I do more reviews and we revamp this studio. This is an ongoing project that is much slower than I would like it to be, but that's entirely my fault. So anyway, like I said, if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again really, really soon.